The way people speak English reflects their confidence, not just their grammar. Think about it for a moment. You may have seen two people speaking. One of them knows only a few words, but they speak with energy, with expression, with the courage to be heard. The other may know hundreds of words, but when they speak, their voice shakes, their eyes look down, and their sentences break apart. Who leaves the stronger impression? It is the first one, the one who dared to believe in their own voice. Confidence is like the light behind the words. Even if the words are simple, that light makes them shine. A confident speaker can say, "I go market yesterday," and people will still understand, still listen, still respect the effort. But a nervous speaker may say the grammatically correct sentence, "I went to the market yesterday," in such a low and trembling tone that the listener loses interest. Do you see how the power lies not only in the grammar but in the spirit behind the words? This is why so many learners hold themselves back. They wait until they are perfect before they speak, but that day never comes. They forget that people are drawn not to perfect grammar, but to the courage that makes words come alive. The world does not demand perfection. It asks for clarity, for honesty, and for presence. Confidence is the bridge that carries your words across to another person's heart. When you meet someone who speaks English with confidence, you rarely stop to measure their grammar. Instead, you notice their energy, their tone, and their willingness to share themselves. Confidence makes the difference between silence and expression, between being invisible and being remembered. So when you think about speaking English, remind yourself, it is not only about where to place verbs or how to form tenses. Those things matter, yes, but they are not the soul of communication. The soul is confidence, and once you have that, your English, no matter how simple, will carry power. English is not about perfection, but about connection. Think of the conversations that have stayed with you in your life. Was it the flawless grammar that touched your heart, or was it the feeling, the honesty, the human bond behind the words? Language is a tool, not a cage. It is meant to carry your ideas, your emotions, and your story to another person. When you focus too much on perfection, you forget the real purpose of speaking, to connect. Imagine two friends. One struggles with English, mixing up words, forgetting tenses, but they laugh, they try, they make eye contact, and they show they care. The other knows perfect grammar, but speaks like a robot, afraid to make a mistake, afraid to show emotion. Who builds the stronger friendship? Who makes the deeper impression? Always the one who connects. We live in a world where people remember kindness, energy, and courage far more than they remember a missing article or a wrong verb. A mother speaking to her child in broken English still gives comfort. A traveler asking for directions with clumsy words still receives help. And a student sharing ideas with passion still inspires others, even if every sentence is imperfect. That is the power of connection. Perfection is a moving target. Even native speakers make mistakes, even professors pause, even writers edit their words many times before they feel ready. If you wait to be perfect before you speak, you will wait forever. But if you dare to connect, even with broken sentences, you will discover that people do not reject you. They welcome you. They admire your effort, they value your message, and they respond to your courage. So when you open your mouth to speak English, do not ask yourself, will this be perfect? Ask yourself instead, will this connect? Will my listener feel what I want to share? Will my words, however simple, reach their heart? Because in the end, that is the purpose of language, not flawless performance, but human connection. Every learner starts with hesitation, but small steps build fluency. Picture the first time someone tries to speak English out loud. Their lips tremble, their mind races, and suddenly even the simplest word feels heavy. That moment of hesitation is universal. No matter who you are, where you are from, or how much you know, the first step always feels uncertain. But what matters most is not how perfect that step is, but the courage to take it. Think of a seed planted in the soil. On the first day, it looks like nothing is happening. On the second day, still nothing. But underground, small changes are taking place. Slowly, roots spread, and finally, a tiny green shoot breaks through. Learning English is the same. At first, your progress feels invisible, but every word you say, every line you read, every mistake you make is a root growing stronger. One day, without even realizing it, your fluency begins to bloom. Many learners give up because they expect to wake up fluent overnight, but fluency is not a miracle. It is a journey of small, steady steps. One new word today, one short sentence tomorrow, one brave attempt to speak in public the next day. These steps may feel small, but together they carry you across mountains. Each hesitation overcome is a victory. Each word spoken is progress. Each mistake survived is a lesson. Remember, even the greatest speakers of English once hesitated. They once stumbled over words, felt embarrassed, and wanted to stay silent. What separates them from those who gave up is not talent, but persistence. They kept moving one step at a time until hesitation turned into habit, and habit turned into fluency. So when you feel that hesitation rising in your chest, do not let it silence you. Instead, take the step, however small. Say the word, try the sentence, make the mistake. Because fluency is not built in one leap. It is built in thousands of small steps that begin with the courage to start. Listening is as powerful as speaking in learning English. Too often, learners believe fluency is only about how many words they can say or how fast they can answer. But real growth comes not only from speaking, but from listening with intention. Listening is where the rhythm of English enters your ear, where the melody of sentences becomes familiar, where words begin to feel natural instead of forced. Think of a child. Before they ever speak, they listen. They hear voices, sounds, patterns. Day after day, they absorb the language without even realizing it. Then, one day, they surprise everyone by saying their first word. That first word was not magic. It was the result of countless hours of listening. Adults forget this lesson. They rush to speak, but neglect the quiet power of listening. When you listen carefully, you do more than just hear words. You train your mind to understand accents, to notice pauses, to catch phrases that books cannot teach you. You begin to sense how native speakers emphasize some words and soften others. Slowly, without effort, those patterns sink in, and your own speaking becomes smoother, more natural. Listening also gives you confidence. When you hear others use English in everyday ways, you realize the language is not as complex as it seems in grammar books. A simple "how are you" carries warmth. A short "thank you" shows respect. You learn that communication is not about long, perfect sentences. It is about meaningful exchange. Listening reveals this truth. So if you want to grow in English, do not think only about speaking. Fill your ears with the language. Listen to stories, watch films, hear conversations, and pay attention not just to the words, but to the feelings behind them. Because listening is not passive, it is practice. And every moment you listen deeply, you are shaping the voice that will one day speak with confidence and fluency. Fear of mistakes is the greatest barrier, not the mistakes themselves. When most people hesitate to speak English, it is not because they don't know anything, it is because they are afraid of saying something wrong. That fear grows louder than their knowledge. It whispers, "What if they laugh? What if I sound foolish? What if I fail?" And so the learner stays silent, even when they have words inside them waiting to come out. But think about this. What is a mistake really? It is not a wall. It is a step. Every great learner has walked on these steps. A mistake is simply proof that you tried, proof that you were brave enough to use your voice. Without mistakes, there can be no growth. A baby does not walk perfectly the first time. They fall again and again. Yet no one calls the baby a failure. Everyone smiles, encourages, and waits for the next attempt. Why then do we treat language mistakes as shameful when in truth they are just steps toward fluency? Many people who speak English confidently still make errors every day. Even native speakers forget words, mix up tenses, or misspell things. The difference is they do not allow mistakes to silence them. They keep talking, they keep sharing, they keep moving forward. Their secret is not perfection, it is courage. The tragedy is not in making mistakes, but in letting fear hold your voice hostage. When you stay silent out of fear, you lose the chance to connect, to learn, to improve. But when you speak, Even with errors, you invite correction, you invite growth, you invite progress. So shift the way you see mistakes. They are not enemies, they are teachers. Each one carries a lesson. Each one strengthens your next attempt. If you stumble over a word today, tomorrow you will say it with confidence. If you forget a phrase now, you will remember it better the next time. Fear keeps you frozen, but mistakes keep you moving. The truth is simple. Mistakes will not stop you from learning English, but fear will. And the moment you choose courage over fear, your voice begins to find its freedom. Consistency and practice are stronger than talent. Many people believe that some are simply born with a gift for languages, as if fluency is a natural talent given only to a lucky few. But look closely at anyone who speaks English well, and you will see the same truth. It is not talent that made them fluent, it is persistence. They showed up every day, even when it was hard, even when they were tired, even when they felt progress was slow. That daily effort became the secret to their success. Talent may give someone a small advantage in the beginning, but consistency turns that small advantage into something powerful. Imagine two learners. One is talented, but practices only once in a while. The other struggles at first, but practices every day, even for just 15 minutes. Months later, the second learner is ahead. Why? Because language is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it grows. Practice does not need to be grand or perfect. Reading a page from a book, listening to a short story, writing a few sentences, or speaking with a friend for 5 minutes, all of these are seeds. On their own, they may feel small, but planted daily, they grow into something extraordinary. As the old saying goes, drops of water make a mighty ocean. Consistency also builds confidence. Each time you practice, you prove to yourself that you are serious, that you are capable, that you are moving forward. Even on days when you feel stuck, your practice is quietly working inside you, shaping your ear, sharpening your memory, preparing your voice. Then, one day, you surprise yourself by speaking a sentence with ease or understanding a phrase without effort. That moment is the reward of countless quiet practices. So do not wait for talent. Do not compare yourself to those who seem naturally gifted. Instead, choose consistency. Show up every day in small ways, with steady effort, because talent may open the first door, but only consistency and practice will carry you to fluency. English opens doors to knowledge, opportunity, and global friendship. When you learn English, you are not just adding another subject to your studies. You are unlocking a key that connects you to the wider world. Think of the countless books, films, ideas, and discoveries that are shared in English. Think of the opportunities in education, business, and travel that become possible when you can understand and communicate in this language. English is more than grammar. It is a bridge to worlds you might never reach otherwise. Picture a student in a small town who dreams of becoming a doctor. Resources in their own language may be limited, but in English, entire libraries of medical research are open. That knowledge, once distant, becomes accessible because of English. Now, picture a traveler stepping into a country where no one speaks their native language. With just a few words of English, they find directions, make friends, and share laughter with strangers. In both cases, English is the key that turns isolation into connection. But beyond opportunities and education, English builds something even deeper, friendship. With English, you can sit at a table with people from 5 different countries and still share one conversation. You can exchange stories, ideas, and dreams with someone who grew up a world away. You begin to see that despite different cultures, people share the same hopes, the same struggles, the same desire for understanding. English makes that possible. And when doors open, they rarely close again. The knowledge you gain through English stays with you. The opportunities you reach through English change your path. The friendships you build through English remind you that you are part of something larger than your own world. So when the journey feels hard, remember this. Every word you learn in English is not just a word. It is a key. And every key you collect unlocks a new door to knowledge, to opportunity, and to friendship that can last a lifetime. Motivation and mindset shape the journey of language learning. You can have the best books, the best teachers, even the best environment, but without the right mindset, progress will always feel slow and heavy. On the other hand, with strong motivation and a positive attitude, even the hardest challenges become stepping stones. Learning English is not just about the words you study. It is about the belief you carry inside you. Imagine two learners starting at the same point. One believes English is too hard, that they will never improve, that mistakes mean failure. The other believes every mistake is a lesson, every effort is progress, and every day brings them closer to fluency. Which one will succeed? The one whose mindset pushes them forward. Because language learning begins in the mind long before it shows in the mouth. Motivation is like fuel. There will be days when you feel tired, when words slip from your memory, when progress feels invisible. In those moments, talent won't save you, and even knowledge won't carry you far. What keeps you going is motivation, the vision of why you started, the picture of who you want to become, the reminder of doors that English will open for you. With motivation, you rise after setbacks. Without it, even small obstacles feel impossible. And here is the truth. Motivation does not always arrive by itself. You must create it. You create it by setting goals, by celebrating small victories, by surrounding yourself with English in daily life. You create it by telling yourself, I am not perfect yet, but I am better than I was yesterday. That mindset transforms the way you learn. Suddenly, the process is not a burden. It becomes a journey of growth. So, as you learn English, guard your mindset carefully. Feed it with encouragement. Strengthen it with discipline and protect it from negativity. Because in the end, fluency is not just the result of practice. It is the reflection of your inner belief. With the right mindset, even the hardest road becomes possible. And with strong motivation, the destination becomes not just a dream, but a certainty. Every learner's voice in English matters, no matter how simple or broken it may sound. Too often, people silence themselves because they think, my English is not good enough. Who will listen to me? But the truth is, your words have value, not because they are perfect, but because they carry your thoughts, your experiences, and your heart. A message with broken grammar can still inspire, can still comfort, can still change someone's day. Think of history. So many world-changing voices were not polished or perfect, yet they were powerful because they were authentic. In the same way, your English, however simple, carries weight because it is yours. A student saying, I want to learn, I need help, is not perfect, but it is powerful because it shows courage. A traveler saying, thank you, I happy here, may not follow every rule, but the gratitude behind those words is real. The listener feels it, and that is what matters. When you speak in English, you are not just practicing grammar, you are sharing yourself with the world. You are proving that you are willing to step out of silence and into connection. And connection is always greater than perfection. People remember the feeling you gave them, not the small mistakes in your sentences. Every learner's voice is like a drop of water joining a river. Alone, it may seem small, but together, these voices create something powerful and unstoppable. Your English, however imperfect, adds to that river. It gives you a place in the global conversation, and it proves that your story deserves to be heard. So never underestimate your own voice. Speak with the words you have, speak with the courage you carry, and speak knowing that someone, somewhere, will listen. Because the world does not need perfect English, it needs your English, your story, your voice. And when you share it, you remind yourself and others of a beautiful truth. Every voice matters.